Hello everybody and welcome back to the channel and to this new video on building the Piper Cub. But before I go with that, some good news. I got some propellers in the post, 10 of the small 3-bladed propellers, so I hope I can soon try it on the Hurricane, because the Hurricane, in case you haven't noticed, does not fly. But then back to this, to the Piper Cub. What the intention of this chapter is to build in the servos. But before that I wanted to finalize the top part of the fuselage. So the first challenge that I'm coming along with, or that I'm finding, is that as I've designed, or the original design is made to keep the wing fixed. Pointing with a cutter might be better to point with a pencil. The wing should be fixed, but I want to do it removable. So I haven't glued this yet, but I'm going to have to figure out a way of making it look nice and that I can remove it. So I'll probably be cutting across here and then being able to remove then the wing. So this is kind of the top spar of the fuselage, which I think is coming along okay. I take the wing off, and then what I intend to do is to get the servos. These are the heavy 9-gram servos, and I have ordered smaller servos like the 2-gram servos, but they're in the post somewhere, probably somewhere in the middle of the ocean, so that's going to take some time. So in the meantime I'm going to try to install these, and then I have to create or put together the push rods that will go then to the tail surfaces to do the movement. And once I have that in place, then it's kind of, I don't want to say easy, but then from that perspective on, then I'll have to move on to the motor. But this part, that's what I'm planning to do. Also I do have a latch at the bottom which will be for the battery. I know that mostly we like to use magnets, and everybody likes magnets. Who doesn't like magnets? But I haven't found a nice way of using magnets, so I'm just going to be using wood. So I've got to find a way of actually locking this in place without using the magnet. So I've got to think a little bit about that one, but I'm sure I'll come up with some idea. So this is the planned content for this video, so follow me along and let's see how it goes. Time for another update. Let's see what I can show you that I've been up to. On the wing, what I've done, and I'm sure this is against all rules and regulations, I've stuck a little shape here of a triangle and the forward part of the spar, so that it actually fits almost flush with the spar on the back of the fuselage. Now, why do I say that I'm sure this is not allowed? It's because I'm gluing stick, so balsa wood, to tissue. So I'm sure that's not allowed. I don't think it's very wise, but it's not structural or anything. What I'm going to do next is then take a bit of yellow tissue, maybe cut out a triangle and then stick it on top, just for, not only for show, also I think for aerodynamics. That's what I'd like to tell myself, that'll help it fly better. But anyhow, that's a piece of work that I was doing on that. Another little bit of woodwork. I've done the hatch, and I don't know if you can see it. You probably can't see it, right? But this is the hatch. I already had it actually, so I put a little handle on it, which is a little plastic tube from a Q-tip. I've driven a small screw through. Let's see if you can see, if it focuses. Does it focus? I'm too close maybe? Where is it? And basically the trick is that I would close it in like that. I don't know if you can see it. But if I go put it in here, basically I've got those two tabs there. I put it in open position. I put it in, and then I somehow managed to squeeze it in and keep it somehow in place. So not completely, not perfect, but there it is, and without using magnets, which was, I somehow wanted to avoid that because that would add more complication to the whole build. So not perfect, but anyhow, an experiment on how to build a hatch, a battery hatch without the magnets. Then what else I've done, I've put in the servos, as you can see in there. These are the two servos. They are slightly different. I was surprised. The cable comes out in a different place. Again, I'm not sure if you can see it, but here the wire is coming out of there, whereas on this other one the wire comes out the bottom. So it didn't fit. I had to make the hole a little bit bigger because I'd measured for this kind of servo, and probably the new ones that I bought are a little bit different, another brand or whatever. But those are now in place, screwed in, not glued, kind of waiting to get the smaller servos if they ever arrive. And what I've done also, I've put in the control rods. This one here, this is for the rudder. I'm putting it on the right side so that I remember that it's right rudder, right rudder, right rudder. Always hear that somehow. And I've put in this kind of bend that I learned from the P51. I know that Richard, I'm not sure if you're a fan of it, but you were mentioning it also once. so that I can somehow trim it, and this is going to be for the rudder. Now my intention was also to do it for the elevator, but I think I cut the wire too short, so let's see how that goes. And what I've also put in here, a bit of tubing, again from the same Q-tip, always saving, because my plan is then to glue this here to the side, that it has less friction when it pulls backwards and forwards. It is not completely straight, the cable, it's probably going to be a bit bent, but I think it should take it, as it's a gentle curve, and this one will also be a little bit of a curve outwards to meet the control horn on the elevator. So that's what I've done up to now. The next steps would actually be to put in the tail, but I'm not going to do that yet, because I'm going to try to figure out the nose section, how that goes. Also putting in the sides, the wood, and maybe the dowels to hold the wing. That's an important step. And then also the whole motor section. I know that the motor goes on there, but there's a whole top cowling, let's say, that I have to figure out, and then continue from there. But at least some progress, which is good. And a bit of an update on the build. As you can see, I've started to pack things into the fuselage. I put already the ESC in there, it's here, and I stuck it with a bit of velcro because there's so many cables that I need to somehow tidy it up, and it's still somehow very messy. I also put in the motor. I don't know if you can see it, but I put in here some washers on the upper left side corner, so that it somehow points a bit down and to the right. How much? Pretty much as I could fit, because I'm not really sure how to calculate this. So I'm hoping this compensates for the torque, especially on the takeoff. And let's see if that's enough or not. And as you can see, it's very packed. It feels already very, very heavy, and that's the big concern of this, right? And I think that's what you're telling me on the comments, that this motor is going to be way too heavy. So I've ordered a smaller one. Let's see if then I'm able to switch it out. I wanted to show you this before I put on the covers here, because there's some pieces to put the cover on, some balsa sheet to do these covers, which is good. But once I have the covers in, then I won't be able either to show you this, and might be very difficult actually to get in there. So let's see, if I do get a new motor, let's see how I manage to get it fixed in place and things like that. So we'll see how that goes. And what else has been going on? Motor, ESC, and yes, I've also putting a bit of its decoration is this bit for the rear part of the cabin, which looks nice. And with this one I started to use another glue. I started to use this one, which I think is more like a school glue. It's white, it's very liquid, but unfortunately it dries very, very hard, very rigid. So I don't think it's going to be good for structure, because the other one that I'm using this one from Kavan. I had good experience in the past, but this bottle got all lumpy and dried up, so it's very difficult. Actually, it doesn't squeeze out. I have to open it out and take it out. So I did like one of these bottles, but this one is not turning out to be good at all, and I still got a lot of it. I don't know if you can see it actually there. It's inside there and it's all kind of lumped up, so I might need to get another glue. This is good because it's flexible. Like it dries transparent also, but it's a bit rubbery, whereas this one is much more brittle when it dries. I did some tests and it dries very brittle and it just breaks apart. So I'll probably go back to this one and maybe try to buy a better one of these, or maybe some other kind of white glue for wood. And then of course on the wheels and things like that, I still have to do quite a lot of things, but it's progressing. So the next thing is going to be to put on the cover here, and then maybe also the engine cowlings that are somewhere there. The landing gear also needs to be finished off. I've also got these triangular pieces that go in there somehow, so I've also got to put this in. So a lot of small details and some progress, at least some visible progress. So a bit of a setback. I've already put on the cowling, as you see, the top, not the cowling but the top of the front fuselage, and I decided to do a test to connect the receiver and test to see if the motor would turn well. To my dismay, it did not. It was somehow jittering around. It did not get to turn. I tried with more power and it didn't. And I tried to unplug it. I tried to put it together again and it still doesn't work. I then looked it up, I googled it, and I found that there's some comments that if the cables are not well connected it can do that. So what I have to do now, and I've already started, I'm going to try to unsolder this connection, which was I think the weakest one, and then try it again, and like that until I find, I'm hoping that it's this one, but if not I'm going to have to do it 6 times, right? So that's a bit of the setback. Maybe it's due to my soldering skills that are not very good. So let's see how I can figure out how to unsolder this and then solder it back on. So let's see how it goes. Some setbacks, I suppose it's normal. That has been a major fight. Now you can't see it, maybe I should have taken pictures along the way, but I've managed to take off all the shrink wrapping from around, and I found out that just one of them was probably wrong. I actually took it off, no, I resoldered it, and it still didn't work, so I was then about to take it off, try to check the connections also on the ESC, but then I came up with the idea of making a test without this banana connector, I think they're called bananas, and directly with a cable to the ESC, and it did work. I was already worried that the motor had been spoiled somehow, or the ESC, and I was already thinking, what am I going to do? And but then what I did, I found out that was the problem. I then had to take the solder out of it. That was a big battle. I used a drill, I used with a hand drill. I felt a bit like a dentist, like when, you know, they go at your teeth. And then I tried to resolder it, and it didn't stick. The solder didn't stick at all. I'd roughened it up, I'd put in some flux, and nothing. So what I did eventually, and you can't see it, I managed to drill a hole. It also took a while, again like a dentist, and I managed to put the wire through. I tested it, and it seems to be working again. So as I say, a big battle. It's taken me some days and a lot of worries. I was already thinking if I have to wait maybe for the new motor to come or what to do, but I'm hoping that now it survives, and with the hole in the wire I hope that enough electricity goes through and that it can turn. I've relabeled them again so that I know what way to go, what the way the propeller has to go, so I hope the next step will be to put it inside. Now some good news that I have, I got a package of servos. These are the small servos, so that's my second packet of servos, and the big ones I'm not sure what I'm going to use them for, but I'm sure I'll find some use for them. So now the question for me is if I should swap them out or not. Like, I think on the wing I'm going to leave them because they're really very nicely packed in, as you can see, and it would be a challenge maybe to thread the cables through. I'm not sure actually if they're going to be long enough even, because these are evidently shorter, but I have to check that actually. But there might be an opportunity, as I still haven't gone ahead with the fuselage much further. I have sanded down a little bit the wood here, maybe to take out the servos from the fuselage, redo maybe the base plate somehow so that the servos fit in there, and lighting it up. Each of these is 10 grams, the blue ones. These black ones are supposed to be 2 to 3 grams, so I would save easier 15 grams, which is significant. I don't think it's something that one can disregard just like that. So that might actually be then the next step. Take off the old servos, put on the new ones, and then install again the electronics, the motor and everything, and see if I can get along with this, because that has been a big pause. So let's see what the next update is. Let's see if I can wrap this up and I can show you the progress that I've done. So I've put in the 2 small servos. I've taken the old ones out. Well, they're not old actually, they're new but just big, so those have come out, and the 2 small black ones have gone in. I've also reconnected the whole electronics. I did test it out when it was not fully, let's say, adjusted, but and it did work, which I'm happy about. And I've connected also the servos and the ESC and everything to all the control rods to see if it works. So this is a moment of truth, not the final one for sure. It is overall quite heavy actually. Like, I have the feeling it's heavy, but it is what it is, right? So now I've connected also the transmitter is on over here, and I've got the battery that I'm going to connect, and let's see. Wish me luck that this works. some promising sounds. I'm going to try the elevator. Let's see, because that tail wheel is in the way. Okay, the elevator servo is working. I'm going to try the rudder. I'm not sure if you can see this, but I can see it at least. And now moment of truth with the engine, a little bit at least. It is working. I'm not sure how safe this is because I haven't screwed on the propeller. But indeed, promising. So, it's being a battle, this one, and I'm not sure actually where the whole thing started, but I'm going to leave it off at this. And the next chapter will be continuing the build. I'm not sure what actually, figuring out how to put things on and testing maybe the wing servos. I'll see. I need a break after this. It's been a productive day and a challenging video. So, as always, thank you everybody for following along, and I'll see you next time.